Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And before I share two meditations with you today, I'm going to read two meditations. Before I do that, I want to kind of tell a little backstory to the meditations. So, I've talked on this channel for a long time about how I like to start my day with daily affirmations and positivity and prayers and meditations and all that kind of stuff. And, it has really worked for me for a long time to help me start my day in peace and serenity, with balance in my life and things like that. But like any good tool in our toolbox, we often get away from things when they're working. Like, and the whole idea of if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of goes along with that. If like what you're doing is working, don't change it. You know what I mean? And I always get to a point where it's like, okay, so I start my day and things are going great and I don't, pick up my phone right away. I just go right to the meditations and the prayers. And then I do that and then I'm feeling better for day after day after day. And then I kind of slow away and I get away from it. I talked about this with the gratitude list too. And so it's about doing things consistently. And for me, I have to, remind myself on a regular basis of that. Okay, this works. Keep on doing it. And for the third day in a row now, I have gotten up, ignored my phone, taken the dogs outside, sat out there, read meditations, and just let them play around for 15 or 20 minutes, did my prayers, and all that kind of stuff. And it's been extremely helpful to me. So I don't know why I have forgotten at times that this small little thing of just taking 15 minutes, in my morning to start my day really, to some degree defines the direction that my day is going to go. So anyway, I just wanted to share that on here because it has really, really helped me. If you haven't tried it, I would suggest trying it, whatever. But you guys know my favorite book is The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty. Not my favorite book, but my favorite meditation book. And so today, I was going back and I was reading, I hadn't read, some of them from this past week, because sometimes I skip forward 2 days and whatever. And today's was on spontaneity, and it just, sometimes I read it and I'm like, I need to hear a little bit more wisdom than that. So it didn't really click with me today. So I went back to September 8th, and it was called Letting the Good Stuff Happen, and I hadn't read it, and it really resonated with me today, where I was. And so then I was just, sitting out there, and I was thinking about the meditation and whatever, and I took my finger, I had my finger in the book there, and I took it out and I put it like that, and so I put it back in, and when I put it back in, I went to July 16th, which is called Insisting on the Best. And so I just opened it and I was like, well, I'm gonna read this one. And it was weird how they were very, very similar. So I'm gonna read the second one first and the first one last, but I wanna share them both with you guys because I think, we all of us need positivity boosters at times. We all need to be our own cheerleaders, if that makes sense. And so this was really helpful for me today, and I just wanted to read it for you guys, for anybody out there that might need a little bit of, boosting up a little bit. The first one is Letting the Good Stuff Happen, and it's from September 18th. Before recovery, my relationships were lousy. I didn't do very well on my job. I was enmeshed in my dysfunctional family, but at least I knew what to expect. Anonymous. I want the second half of my life to be as good as the first half was miserable. Sometimes I'm afraid it won't be. Sometimes I'm frightened it might be. The good stuff can scare us. Change, even good change, can be frightening. In some ways, good changes can be more frightening than the hard times. The past, particularly before recovery, may have become comfortably familiar. We knew what to expect in our relationships. They were predictable. They were repeats of the same patterns, the same behaviors, the same pain, over and over again. They may not have been what we wanted, but we knew what was going to happen. This is not so when we change patterns and begin recovering. We may have been fairly good at predicting events in most areas of our life. Relationships would be painful. We'd be deprived. Each year would be almost a repeat of the last. Sometimes it got a little worse, sometimes a little better. But the change wasn't drastic, not until the moment when we began recovery. Then things changed. And the further we progress in this miraculous program, the more we and our circumstances change. We begin to explore uncharted territory. Things get good. They do get better all the time. We begin to become successful in love and work and life. One day at a time, the good stuff begins to happen and the misery dissipates. We no longer want to be a victim of life. We've learned to avoid unnecessary crisis and trauma. Life gets good. How do I handle the good stuff, asked one woman. It's harder and more foreign than the pain and tragedy. The same way we handle the difficult and the painful experiences, I replied, one day at a time. Today, God, help me let go of my need to be in pain and crisis. Help me move as swiftly as possible through sad feelings and problems. Help me find my base and balance in peace, joy, and gratitude. Help me work as hard at accepting what's good as I have worked in the past at accepting the painful and the difficult. And I think this is such a fantastic meditation, and it like really resonates with me because I need reminders of that, right? Like I, can falter into back old behaviors at times. And I did a video in here not long ago talking about, like there were 4 or 5 years or 4 years of my life that I wasn't going to meetings and I had no emotional sobriety whatsoever. And I look at that period of my life and then I look coming back into sobriety, and it really wasn't about the drinking or the drugging because I didn't go back and engage in that. But it was really about not really having any spiritual foundation, not having any support or a sponsor that I was talking to on a regular basis, and really doing deep inventory on who I was as a person. But that doesn't mean that I'm always a perfect person, and so I have to continue to look at that in my life. And, it's about, where it says in here, that when things change, it's uncomfortable, that sometimes, like I talk about this a lot on my vlog, that I grew up in chaos. I grew up in toxicity. Chaos and toxicity are very comfortable for me at times, right? Like I almost enjoy that more than peace and harmony. But over the last few years, like I've really gotten, especially like just in my personal life, I've really, like with my friends and my family, gotten used to peace and harmony. And so like when I start going into that crisis mode, now that feels uncomfortable to me. I'm not used to that, if that makes sense. So that was a good meditation for me today, just to remind me of that I want to stay in peace and harmony. And starting my daily meditations is a really good way for me to start that. And then July 16th, insisting on the best. We deserve the best life and love have to offer, but we are each faced with the challenge of learning to identify what that means in our life. We must each come to grips with our own understanding of what we believe we deserve, what we want, and whether we are receiving it. Page turn. There is only one place to start, and that is right where we are in our current circumstances. The place we begin is with us. What hurts? What makes us angry? What are we whining and complaining about? Are we discounting how much a particular behavior is hurting us? Are we making excuses for the other person, telling ourselves we're too demanding? Are we reluctant? This is all like inventory questions right here too. Are we reluctant, for a variety of reasons, especially fear, to tackle the issues in our own relationships that may be hurting us? Do we know what's hurting us, and do we know that we have a right to stop our pain if we want to do that? We can begin the journey from deprived to deserving. I like that. We can start it today. We can also be patient and gentle with ourselves as we travel in important increments from believing we deserve second best to knowing in our hearts that we deserve the best and taking responsibility for that. Today I will pay attention to how I allow people to treat me and how I feel about that. I will also watch how I treat others. I will not overreact by taking their issues too personally and too seriously. I will not underreact by denying that certain behaviors are inappropriate and not acceptable to me. And I really like these two meditations together. Like, both of them together, talking about deserving the best in our lives. Listen, we only have one life. Okay? And, when you break away all the superficiality of it, it's like, what do you really feel in your heart of hearts that you deserve? Like, what is it that you really want on a daily basis? And look and see if you're really getting it. And for me, it's very simple. Like, and I've really been doing like a lot. I talked a lot about this on my vlog last night. I've been doing a lot of evaluation in my life. Like right now, like what do I want in my life? Like what do I want my life to look like, if that makes sense? I want to wake up on a daily basis and I want to have peace and harmony in my life. Like that's very, very important to me. And I only realize how important it is to me when I start losing it, if that makes sense. I also want to have like fun, and I want to hang out with my friends, and I want to be with my husband, and I want to, hang out with family, and just, I want that to be my life. Like that's what's vital and important to me. And so it's important for me to reevaluate and see what is the best that I deserve. Like what is that? And for each one of us, how we define the best is different. For each of us, it's completely different. And then when you go back and you take, that meditation and you take it back to the other one that was from the 18th, which was letting the good stuff happen. It's like, so often I think in life, it's like we really have that program into our head, like, that you deserve a certain thing happening. And it's like, I grew up being bullied for 12 years of my life growing up. And so there's a certain part of me that is really reluctant to stand up for myself and, do all that kind of stuff because I'm just like, well, I'm so used to taking it. this is just more of the same. Like back in the day, and you know, even with like friend groups that I've had, like, you know, for 10 years that I've been in friends with, and I'm not saying they bully me, they don't bully me, it's not like that, you know, but like where I just don't feel like I'm part of or whatever. And over the last couple years, especially since I've started taking inventory and whatever, I've learned the way to like speak to people in my, you know, personal life, like my friends and family, and say to them what my needs are and what I feel like I deserve. And you should do the same, okay? We only have one life. You deserve the best, and you deserve to be happy. And when a lot of us grow up in toxicity and chaos, like I did, okay, growing up in an alcoholic home, we feel like, to some degree, like we're more comfortable in that. We're more comfortable in toxicity and chaos because we're so used to having been like that for so long. But that's not healthy, and we know that. Peace of mind, harmony, that is what's healthy for us. And it gives you clarity and things like that. So that's what I really yearn for today. And I feel like for me, that's what I deserve, is peace and harmony in my life. So that's what I aim for, you know, and it's hard. It's really hard sometimes, you know, and it's really hard to believe in myself. This is what I deserve. But I think each one of us out there, each one of us deserves to have the best life possible. I love you. You deserve it. If you haven't heard that today, you deserve it. You deserve the best life possible. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.